Why do they suddenly go silent, stop replying, or seem distant, right when you thought everything was perfect? If you're feeling confused, frustrated, or even heartbroken by this, you're not alone. And let me tell you, what's happening isn't random. In fact, it's one of the most misunderstood patterns in relationships today. In this video, we're diving deep into the real reason why the one who cares the most may pull away without warning. And here's the truth no one tells you. When emotions run deep, when love feels intense and overwhelming, some people freeze. They step back, not because they don't care, but because they care too much. It's not rejection. It's fear. It's vulnerability. It's their heart trying to protect itself from what feels too big, too powerful, too risky. But here's where it matters for you. How you respond in these moments can either bring them closer or create a distance that's hard to repair. So stay with me, because in the next 25 minutes, you're going to learn how to stop doubting yourself, how to decode their silence, and how to shift the dynamic in a way that makes them feel safe coming closer again. Don't click away. This could be the insight that saves your relationship or helps you see what's truly worth your heart. Let's begin. When we think of love, we picture closeness. We imagine warm conversations, long hugs, and feeling safe in someone's presence. But what happens when the one who loves you starts creating distance? When their messages slow down, their energy shifts, and they seem to disappear. Not because they've stopped caring, but because they care more than they can handle. Here's the hidden psychology most people miss. Love doesn't just awaken joy. It awakens fear, and sometimes that fear makes people pull away, even when they want to come closer. When someone falls deeply for you, it can trigger something inside them that they weren't prepared for. Maybe they've been hurt before. Maybe they've built walls to protect themselves for so long that real intimacy feels terrifying. And now, faced with the depth of their own feelings, their mind screams, "This is dangerous. This could break me." So they step back, not to hurt you, but to try and feel safe again. This isn't about you not being enough. It's about their inner world, old wounds, buried insecurities, and fears they may not even recognize. Their distance is often a battle between the part of them that craves love and the part that fears what love can do. Imagine their heart like a house that's been locked up for years. You come along and your presence opens the door, letting in light, warmth, possibility. But suddenly they panic. They worry that letting someone in means losing control, or worse, getting abandoned when they finally let their guard down. That's why their instinct is to retreat. But here's the key. Distance doesn't always mean disinterest. Sometimes it's the space they think they need to process the intensity of what they feel. It's their mind's way of saying, "Let me breathe, let me make sense of this." And how you respond in these moments shapes what happens next. If you chase, question, or pressure, you feed their fear. But if you hold steady, if you give them space without pulling away emotionally, you become the safe place they're searching for. That's when they can return, not because you begged, but because you understood. So when love creates distance, don't rush to fill the gap with noise, overthinking, or action. Instead, recognize it for what it is, a sign that something powerful is happening, and they're figuring out how to handle it. In the next part of this video, we'll break down the mixed signals this distance creates, and how to tell if what you're seeing is fear, confusion, or something else entirely. Stay with me, because what you learn next could shift the way you see your connection forever. Let's be honest. Nothing drives us more insane in relationships than mixed signals. 1 minute, they're showering you with affection. They're calling, texting, planning time together. The next, silence, distance, cold energy that leaves you staring at your phone, wondering what just happened. And in that moment, the doubt creeps in. Is it me? Did I do something wrong? Are they losing interest? Here's the truth. Mixed signals aren't random. They are the clearest reflection of someone battling themselves. When a person sends mixed signals, it's not usually about how they feel about you. It's about what's happening inside of them. And understanding this, really understanding it, gives you a power most people never tap into. So let's break it down. Mixed signals often happen when someone feels two powerful forces at once: the desire for closeness and the fear of vulnerability. They may love the way you make them feel safe, seen, valued, but the very intensity of that feeling can scare them. It brings up old wounds, fear of getting hurt, fear of losing control, fear of needing someone too much. That's why you see this push and pull. They move close, then they step back to breathe. Sometimes it's not even about fear. It's about uncertainty. Maybe they didn't expect to feel so much. so fast. Maybe they're questioning whether they're ready for what's happening. And without even realizing it, they start testing the connection. Not to play games, but to find their footing. They give you attention, then distance. They open up, then close down. It's their way of figuring out how to navigate what feels overwhelming. And yes, sometimes mixed signals aren't about you at all. Life gets heavy. Stress, work, family issues. They weigh people down, and instead of communicating that, they go quiet. You feel abandoned, but they're just lost in their own world, unable to balance it all. The key to handling mixed signals isn't to chase harder. It's to observe calmly. Watch for the pattern, not the isolated moments. Are they always coming back after creating? When it counts, do they show up? Do their actions match the care you hope for? Even if their energy feels confusing at times. Here's what most people get wrong. They try to fix the inconsistency by texting more, calling more, proving their worth. But that only fuels the cycle. The real strength lies in holding your space. When you stop reacting to the roller coaster and start showing steady confidence, you shift the energy. Instead of being swept into their emotional storm, you become the calm they're drawn to. And that's why you need to keep watching. Because next, we'll unlock one of the most misunderstood forces in love. The power of absence. How ignoring isn't always rejection. And how distance, when handled right, can make connection stronger than ever. Stay with me, this insight could change how you see love forever. Absence. Silence. That hollow space where once there were calls, texts, affection, it can feel like rejection, like abandonment. But what if I told you that sometimes that absence is not a weapon but a shield? What if the one who seems to ignore you is in their own way trying to protect both you and themselves from something they don't yet know how to face? Let's go deeper. When someone loves you deeply, it opens doors inside them that may have been locked for years. The doors to their most vulnerable places. The parts of them that long for connection but fear it at the same time. And when those doors swing open, it can feel overwhelming. Like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking at something breathtaking, yet feeling terrified of falling. This is where absence comes in. Sometimes, ignoring you or appearing to ignore you isn't about you at all. It's about them needing space to process emotions that are bigger than they expected. It's about stepping back to breathe, to regain a sense of control over feelings that feel too intense, too risky, too real. We live in a world that tells us constant communication equals care, that if they're not replying, not calling, not showing up every minute, they must not love us. But that's not always true. Some people express care by creating space, not because they want to leave you, but because they don't want their fears to ruin what's growing between you. Think about this. When someone is deeply afraid of losing themselves in a relationship, or of losing you, they might feel safer by pulling back. Their absence becomes their shield, a way to protect their heart from what feels like a storm of emotion. They don't know how to stay present with the intensity, so they choose distance. Not because they don't care, but because they care so much that they're afraid of messing it up. And here's the mistake many people make. They see this absence and immediately try to fill it. They send text after text, they call, they ask, "What's wrong? Did I do something?" But every time you chase, you confirm their fear that closeness means pressure, that love means losing their space, and the distance grows wider. So what should you do instead? Honor the power of absence. Recognize that silence can be part of the dance of love, a necessary pause that lets both people catch their breath. When they pull back, don't rush to fill the gap. Let it exist. Stay steady, stay calm. Show through your actions that you're not afraid of space, that you're secure enough to let them process what they feel. When you do this, you transform absence from something that divides into something that can bring you closer. You show them that love doesn't have to mean pressure, that connection can survive, even grow when space is honored. And here's what often happens. Once they realize that you're not chasing, not demanding, not panicking, they feel safe enough to return. On their terms, in their time. Absence, when handled right, becomes powerful. It gives love room to breathe. It helps the connection mature. And it teaches both of you that real love isn't about constant presence. It's about trust. Trusting that even in the silence, the bond holds strong. But this is important. Not all absence is love's shield. Sometimes absence is a sign of disinterest, disrespect, or emotional unavailability. So how do you tell the difference? Look at the bigger picture. When they return, Do they come back with care, with effort, with consistency? Do their actions over time match their words? Do they show you that the space was about regrouping, not about avoiding you? If the answer is yes, then you've witnessed the power of absence in love. If not, then their distance may not be about protecting the bond. It may be about protecting themselves at your expense. And that's a truth worth seeing clearly. In the next part of this video, we'll explore what you should never do when someone you love creates distance, and how your response can either strengthen or damage the connection forever. Stay with me, because what's coming next could change how you handle these moments for good. When someone you care about pulls away, it triggers something deep inside of you. It's like a switch flips, and suddenly fear, anxiety, and doubt flood your mind. You start questioning everything. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I do too much? Not enough? Are they losing interest? And in that vulnerable moment, most people make the same mistake. They react from panic instead of power. But here's the truth you need to hear. How you handle these moments of distance can either draw them back to you or push them even further away. So let's talk about what you should never do when they pull away. If your goal is real connection, not just temporary attention. First, never chase. The natural urge when someone pulls back is to move toward them, to text, to call, to ask what's wrong, to try and fix the distance. But chasing sends a message, and not the one you want. It tells them you don't trust the connection. It tells them that their space equals your panic. And instead of making them feel safe to return, it makes them feel suffocated. Remember, when someone pulls away, it's often because they're trying to manage overwhelming emotions. Your chase doesn't soothe those emotions. It adds to them. Second, never beg for reassurance. You might want to ask, do you still care? Did I upset you? Are we okay? And while those questions come from a place of vulnerability, they can backfire. The more you seek reassurance in these moments, the more it feels like pressure. And pressure makes people retreat even further. The love that once felt light and beautiful begins to feel heavy, like an obligation they can't meet. Third, don't play mind games. When someone pulls away, it's tempting to try tactics, acting cold to make them miss you, posting things just to get their attention, or trying to spark jealousy. But this creates a toxic dynamic where both of you stop being authentic. Instead of building connection, you build confusion, and in the long run, that chips away at trust, the foundation of any lasting relationship. Fourth, never abandon your self-respect. Sometimes in the fear of losing someone, people shrink. They tolerate bad behavior, accept crumbs of attention, or overgive in hopes of winning the person back. But this only teaches the other person that your value is negotiable, that your love comes at the cost of your dignity. And true connection can't thrive where self-respect is lost. So what should you do when they pull away? Stay steady, stay kind, respect their need for space, without abandoning yourself. Focus on your own emotional center. Trust that if the connection is real, distance won't destroy it. And if it does, that distance revealed a truth you needed to see. Here's what's powerful. When you stop trying to close the gap they created, and instead let them feel your calm presence from afar, they're far more likely to return. Not because you begged, chased, or manipulated, but because they feel safe, because they see your strength, because they realize you're someone who doesn't crumble at the first sign of distance. In the next section, we'll explore how to turn that distance into desire, the final move that can shift the dynamic in your favor, if you're ready to handle it with wisdom. Stay with me. What's coming could change how you approach love and connection for the rest of your life. When someone pulls away, the first instinct most people feel is to try and pull them back. The urge to text, to call, to explain yourself, to ask what's wrong. It's powerful. But here's the truth. The more you try to convince someone to stay, the more you actually push them further away. Because connection doesn't grow through pressure. It grows through presence, strength, and understanding. So how do you react in a way that strengthens the bond without begging for it? The first step is simple but powerful. Stay grounded. When someone distances themselves, it can trigger anxiety. You might feel like you're losing them, but reacting from that fear only feeds the disconnect. Instead, pause, breathe. Remind yourself that space isn't always a sign of rejection. Often it's a sign that they're trying to process their own emotions. When you stay calm, you create an energy of stability that they can trust, and that draws them closer over time. Second, focus on yourself. This is where many people struggle. They think, if I don't do something, I'll lose them. But the opposite is true. When you redirect your energy inward, toward your own well-being, your passions, your goals, you remind both yourself and them that your world doesn't revolve around their presence or absence. And this is magnetic. People are drawn to those who don't chase, who hold their value, who live fully regardless of who's watching. Third, communicate with strength, not desperation. If you choose to reach out, do so from a place of confidence. A simple, kind message that doesn't demand answers or attention can be powerful. For example, I hope you're doing well. I'm here when you're ready to connect. This lets them know you care, but it also shows that you respect their space and your own worth. Fourth, trust the connection, or let the distance reveal the truth. Not every person who pulls away is meant to stay. Sometimes, the distance shows you who is truly capable of building with you. And sometimes, it shows you that you deserve more than crumbs of attention. But either way, begging won't create the love you want. It only creates temporary closeness built on fear. Lasting connection comes when two people choose each other freely, not when one feels guilted or pressured into closeness. Finally, let them come to you. When you stop trying to fill the silence and allow them the space to miss your presence, to feel the absence of your energy, you give them the chance to come back on their own terms. And when they do, it's real. It's a choice. It's not the result of begging or chasing. It's the result of your quiet strength. Here's what's powerful. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. The right connection sees it without you having to explain, convince, or beg. The right person values your calm, your respect for space, your ability to stand strong even when things feel uncertain. In the next part of this video, we'll reveal the final move that seals the bond, how to take all the strength you've shown and channel it into creating a connection that lasts. Don't miss it, because what comes next could transform the way you love forever. When someone you care about creates distance, it's easy to feel powerless. It's easy to believe that space means they're slipping away, that desire is fading, that you need to do something, anything to bring them back. But here's a truth that can shift everything for you. Distance doesn't have to be the end of desire. In fact, when handled with wisdom, distance can fuel desire. It can remind someone of what they're missing. It can draw them back to you, not through force, but through choice. So how do you turn that distance into desire? First, you stop filling the space with noise. Every time you overtext, over-explain, or overreach, you take away the one thing that makes desire grow: longing. Desire needs room to breathe. It needs space to stretch out. When someone pulls away, and you don't rush to close the gap, you create that space. You give them the opportunity to feel your absence. And absence, when paired with emotional connection, makes the heart remember why it cared. Second, you focus on becoming magnetic, not through words, but through energy. This means living fully, even when they're distant. It means showing that you're not waiting on their validation to feel valuable. When you stay engaged with your life, your goals, your passions, your joy, they sense it, and it reminds them of what drew them to you in the first place: your light, your strength, your self-possession. Desire thrives when you show that you are whole, with or without them. Third, you allow them to return. When distance turns into desire, it's because someone feels safe and free to come back, not because they feel chased or cornered. That means when they reach out, you respond with warmth, not resentment. You show that you respect their need for space, but you also hold your boundaries. You don't punish, you don't guilt. You welcome connection while standing firm in your self-worth. Here's where many people go wrong. They confuse distance with disinterest, and so they panic. But not all distance means they're done. Sometimes distance means they're figuring out how to navigate feelings that scare them. Sometimes distance means they're testing the bond, wondering if it can hold, even when they step back. And when you handle that space with quiet confidence, they feel drawn back, not out of guilt, but because they want to be close to you again. Remember, desire isn't created through chasing. It's created through presence, and paradoxically, through absence that's handled with grace. When you can hold space without filling it, when you can let someone feel your value, even when you're not right there beside them, you turn distance into something powerful, something that makes them wonder about you, miss you, crave your energy again. So as we close this video, ask yourself, am I reacting to distance with fear or responding with strength. Because in love, the difference between fear and strength is the difference between losing connection and building a bond that grows stronger through every challenge. You have the power to turn distance into desire, not by begging, not by overreaching, but by becoming the kind of person whose presence is felt, even in absence. And that is what makes someone choose you again and again and again. Stay strong, trust yourself, and remember, real connection is built not in chasing, but in being. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.